Kanse, good afternoon. I'm Krisanachkite. Welcome to APTN National News. Thank you for joining us. The province of Ontario and the Aroland First Nation have signed an agreement to connect the Ring of Fire area, 500 kilometers northeast of Thunder Bay, to southern markets. The Ring of Fire area holds critical minerals like cobalt, nickel, copper, platinum, and chromite. Aroland Chief Sonny Gainan signed what's being called a shared prosperity agreement with Ontario. It maps out plans to increase economic growth and build and upgrade infrastructure in Northern Ontario. The agreement will include upgrades to the Anaconda and Painter Lake roads, which connect to the Ring of Fire to the south. $70 million will be set aside to build the Greenstone electricity transmission line, and $20 million will be for community infrastructure projects that support business development and boost community well-being. We'll have more on this in our evening newscast. Hereditary Chief Bill Wilson passed away over the weekend. His daughter, former Liberal Cabinet Minister Jody Wilson-Raybould, made the announcement saying her father's life was, quote, one of leadership and striving to make change. Wilson was born in Comox in 1944 and was the second ever Indigenous person to graduate from a law school in British Columbia. The cause of Wilson's death was not released. His leadership goes back as far as the late 1960s. Wilson was instrumental in the creation of the Native Council of Canada and the Union of BC Indian Chiefs. He played a major role in the tumultuous 1980s constitutional talks, clashing with then Prime Minister Pierre Elliott Trudeau a number of times at First Ministers' conferences that were supposed to define how treaty and Aboriginal rights would fit into Canada's new constitution. Here's what Grand Chief Stuart Phillips said about one confrontation with former Prime Minister Pierre Elliott Trudeau.
Bill Wilson looked across the table at the Prime Minister and he said, "Mr. Prime Minister, maybe the next time we meet, we'll do more than simply educate you." And Trudeau's face looked like somebody had slapped it. And, you know, everyone in that room, it was just packed with Indigenous leaders. You know, they were all laughing and smiling, and you could see them in the background.
It's been more than 4 years since the death of Joyce Echaquan. Just before she died, the 37-year-old mother of 7 live-streamed the racism she experienced from nurses while seeking health care in a hospital in Joliet, Quebec. Lack of access to health care while at this hospital led to her death. Now, the Quebec government has not acknowledged the existence of systemic racism or upheld Joyce's principle. Joyce's principle aims to provide equal and discrimination-free access to all health and social services for all Indigenous people. The Joyce's Principle Office is doing what it can to make this happen by promoting Joyce's principle and carries out projects which uphold it. On Tuesday, the office launched an ambassadorship program. It comprises ambassadors across different industries within health and social services. They support organizations by offering training on cultural security and how to uphold Joyce's principle in order to improve health and social services for First Nations clientele. Alice Echaquan is Joyce's cousin.
On a une psychologue, on a un pédiatre, on est toutes dans divers milieux. Moi, je suis en psychosocial, en relation d'aide. Et alors, on connaît, nous autres, dans le fond, on veut apporter surtout un changement positif quand on rencontre les différentes organisations. On veut surtout affirmer où il est fort, qu'on est capable. C'est un grand chemin, oui, mais on est capable de faire changer les choses de notre présence, de notre accompagnement envers les organisations aussi. On est capable de crier haut et fort, de dire justice pour Joyce.
Construction started on Monday on a new water treatment plant on Manitoulin Island, and it's 3 decades in the making. Officials gathered Friday for a groundbreaking ceremony. CTV's Ian Campbell has more.
And with the shovels, a signal was sent from Chibasing their days of finding water would soon be over.
Lots of emotions. It's a day of disbelief and belief.
Shibasing is a smaller nation, roughly 80 call it home, just within reach of Sudbury. It's close enough where doing big shopping trips in the city isn't unheard of, and it's been under a boil water advisory since the early 90s. They haven't been able to consume water here for more than 30 years.
We shouldn't have to drink that water, and we shouldn't have to bathe in that water.
An emotional moment for many. Bobby Sue Kells Ribberty had to leave the community many times just to lobby for funding.
Our chief has been dealing with this issue for over 32 years, and it's amazing to see where we've come so far to be able to break ground today and celebrate clean drinking water.
Officials here tell me this is a whole new era for Shibasing. Just a few hours away from Sudbury, there are children here who don't even know what it's like to be able to drink clean water from a tap. Large, full jugs of drinking water line the walls of their community center. It's a dream of people like Jonathan Ribberty's Bobby Sue's husband, a water operator and father who's also played a leading role that one day the jugs would no longer be needed.
You're gonna make me cry right now. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be the best thing since sliced bread, because the thing is that we've never had potable water, and my kids don't feel safe turning on a tap.
Well, it's going to give us back the space in our community center for sure.
The project will take 2 years. The new system will be piped directly into homes. There will also be a fail-safe to keep pressure up in the event of a loss in power.
It's going to be so nice to not worry about if my water jug is full to grab a cup of coffee in the morning. It'll be nice.
Ian Campbell, CTV News, Shibasing.
Such great news. We have to take a short break, but we have more stories when we come back. Stay with us. Welcome back. Nominations are now open for the annual SaskTel Indigenous Youth Awards of Excellence. Indigenous youth in Saskatchewan can now be nominated in 5 categories to be recognized provincially for their achievements. APTN video journalist Rachel May spoke with those behind the awards ceremony.
There's always those ones that get you kind of teared up, oh, that's so amazing.
The 27th annual SaskTel Indigenous Youth Awards of Excellence are now accepting nominations for youth making a lasting impact in Saskatchewan. The awards recognize First Nations, Métis, and Inuit youth ages 14 to 18 in 5 categories: academic achievement, leadership, culture and community, sports and recreation, and arts and science. SaskTel Indigenous Engagement Manager Fawn Redwood emphasizes the importance of taking pride in nominees' accomplishments.
It takes a little bit of work and also the ability to be able to talk about yourself. Be a little bit boastful, because that's going to help you stand out a little bit more in your application, to be highlighted, to say, this is the work that I do in my community. This is how I help people, elders or youth, anything else, to really tell that story of your accomplishments, because a lot of people do that work already, but to be able to vocalize that and tell that story.
Applicants must provide 2 letters of recommendation, proof of Indigenous ancestry, and evidence of their ability in 1 award category. Winners will be brought to Regina on June 6th for the ceremony to receive their award, gifts, and a cash prize to support their future achievements. The Wichitawin Foundation partners with SaskTel to make the awards possible. Doug Burnett, a board member of the Wichitawin Foundation, says the foundation is proud to sponsor these awards.
Every single year I come away completely amazed by the accomplishments of the youth. It is for us, it's very heartwarming to be able to do it, but it's the accomplishments of some of these youth is outstanding.
Burnett says these awards showcase the diverse talent of Saskatchewan youth every year.
I know it's the Indigenous Youth Awards, but really these youth, their accomplishments are outstanding, regardless of whether you were talking about Indigenous youth or anybody in the province, or quite frankly anybody anywhere in North America or the world. Their accomplishments are incredible, and their stories are extremely heartwarming in some instances.
To nominate a youth, visit sasktel.com. Applications are due by April 18th. Rachel May, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
The art gallery in Grand Prairie in Northwest Alberta is hosting what's called the Faceless Doll Project. People from all around the community created little dolls to honor those children who were lost at the former site of the Kamloops Residential School. APTN's Chris Stewart was also there and brings us this report.
About 30 people were on hand last Thursday to make faceless dolls from scratch to be a part of the Faceless Doll Project. A project started in 2021 after knowledge keeper Loretta Peranto English heard about the finding of 215 potential unmarked graves at the former Kamloops Indian Residential School in BC.
When I heard that, I felt so sad, like I was so sad because I could almost feel that sadness of not having a chance to be heard or, to be alive or stay alive.
As a child, she had been given dolls to play with that did not have a face.
Years ago, when they'd make little dolls for Indigenous, we've gone through a lot of names, but Indigenous children, they wouldn't put a face on the doll. And a lot of times that display signified a presence.
And the idea to create faceless dolls was born to honor those 215 children with 215 faceless dolls.
Just thinking back to all the dolls that I had, and I was thinking, okay, what should I do? So one evening I just cut out a little doll, then I sewed it together and then I stuffed it. And I don't know, I just kind of felt so kind of like alive, this little doll.
She teamed up with longtime friend Natasha Okimau from the Grand Prairie Friendship Center. They needed a lot of dolls and went to elders, schools, and the community to ask them to make dolls and teach about residential school history. As a residential school and 60 Scoop survivor, Loretta is the perfect storyteller for the project.
Her and I would go and do our little presentations. We talk about the history of residential school, the impact, and she would tell the story of her dolls that her father had made for her that were faceless, because her teaching that she had received that when we put a face on an object is that we're giving it a soul. So none of her dolls had faces, and so that way it's not keeping a spirit here.
17-year-old Métis student Bella Houle made a doll for the project.
It was definitely interesting to find out about the culture behind the faceless dolls and why they're faceless. I definitely think that was something that I think lots of people should know.
This night was the first time Loretta was able to see the display at the art gallery. She and her granddaughter walked along the many faceless dolls, each one unique. And she spotted her doll, the first one she made, the one that started the Faceless Doll Project. It will run until February 16th at the art gallery and will move to its permanent home in the traditional healing garden at the Grand Prairie Friendship Center. Chris Stewart, APTN National News, Grand Prairie, Alberta.
A 13-part documentary series called Water Worlds premiered on APTN this month. It is the first Indigenous underwater exploration docuseries, and it's airing in Cree and English. Narrated by Tantu Cardinal, it is the brainchild of Len Morissette, who is our guest tonight on Face to Face.
Well, I grew up in the Okanagan, and I guess water's always been freeing to me. I'm a giant man. I'm like Aquaman, not good on land, but I'm great in water, right? So it was just one of those things where I always wanted to do an ocean show. I remember when I was a kid, I'd watch Jacques Cousteau and stuff, and I just thought the ocean was amazing. And then as I got older and I started getting more in touch with my culture because I'm urban Indigenous, you know, the water teachings and, you know, just being stewards really rang a bell with me. So
we now want to tell you about this week's web poll question. Over on our website, we ask, if alcohol companies put health warning labels on their products, would it make you think twice about how much you drink? Your answers are yes, no, or I don't drink. You can go to our website at www.aptnnews.ca to have your say. If you're an Indigenous volleyball athlete in the prairies, you don't want to miss this next interview. We're back in less than 3 minutes. On the east, Halifax, sun and 4, Charlottetown -1. La Grande River -22, Happy Valley, Goose Bay -10. Quebec City -16, Gaspé -6 and sun. Ottawa -13, Peterborough -13 as well. Wawa -17, Thunder Bay -9. Puckatawagan -12, The Paw -10. 2 in Gimli, Winnipeg 1. Regina 0, Saskatoon 1. Meadow Lake 1, La Ronge -3 and sun. Fort McMurray 6, Fort Chipewyan 2. 7 in Red Deer, Edmonton 7. And 7 in Vancouver, Penticton 1. Prince Rupert 4, Smithers 2. -25 in Old Crow, Rock River -28. 3 in Fort Simpson, Wati -5. -21 in Fort McPherson, Colville Lake -24. -34 in Chesterfield, Whale Cove -33. And Clyde River -20, Iqaluit -7. This next interview is for all the young Indigenous volleyball athletes out there. Our next guest on the show is Joel Auger, who is from the Big Stone Cree Nation north of Edmonton, and he is also the founder and CEO of the Native Dream Team Project, or the NDT. We recently spoke to him about that project and all the big things he's doing to help Indigenous youth in sport. For almost a year, the NDT project, which is based in Alberta, has been offering world-class training from top Indigenous and non-Indigenous volleyball coaches from across Canada to help athletes ages 10 to 21 grow as volleyball players. The NDT has a volleyball camp coming up in February, and there's even an opportunity for a professional Indigenous men's team to travel to Europe to compete. We recently spoke to Joel from Edmonton. Here's that interview. Joel, thank you so much for speaking with us today. For those who don't know, can you tell us why you and your wife wanted to create the Native Dream Team Project and how long it has been around?
Yeah, so it kind of dates back to my whole journey of becoming a volleyball player and kind of lack of resources in our more remote and northern Indigenous communities. So back in 2018, I'll start really quick. I started the first NDT, Native Dream Team, which was a bunch of me and my friends from Alberta, Saskatchewan, kind of all played at the university or college, and a couple of us even overseas at that time. And then fast forwarded to just this past year, one of my cousins had asked me to help coach his team for the Alberta Indigenous Games. And through that, I just got approached by the community here where I'm from. Hey, you should do this more often. So we started the NDT project in July, I guess, I want to say. We started doing our first camps in June, registered in July. And yeah, I guess kind of the main reason we did it is to provide Indigenous kids with more resources to be able to excel in sport and kind of have that team environment. We provide a lot of leadership. Our medicine wheel camp focuses on obviously our 4 aspects of spiritual, emotional, physical, and mental health. So we're really focused more on developing the person more than the athlete as well, and kind of providing avenues to post-secondary institutions, and if they want to go that far, professional experiences.
That's great to hear, Joel. Can you tell us what kind of reactions you get from Indigenous youth who take part in this project, and what kind of doors it opens for them when they get to take part in an opportunity like this?
Yeah, so some of the reactions we've been getting, and this is not to kind of knock any other organization. I'm all for organizations helping kids play sports, but a lot of times kids who have attended other camps and then they attend ours, they find there's definitely a deeper connection and more relatability of having, you know, res kids like themselves that grew up playing in the dirt and, you know, all that kind of stuff, being able to coach them through relatable, hey, like, I know what you're going through on a day-to-day life. I'm not just here to coach you for an hour and then kind of leave. So we've been getting a ton of great feedback. Almost everywhere we went, we've been invited back. The kids are loving it. We do Instagram posts and stuff with them. And sorry, can you elaborate on the second part of that question again?
Yeah, and talk about how this opportunity has been so great for the youth.
Yeah, super great. So as of right now, we've selected 3 teams of 14 athletes. We got a U17 women's, a U21 women's, and a U25 men's. We're taking all of them to Europe this summer. The women's will be competing in the Global Challenge in Pula, Croatia. And it's really cool because it's comprised of Indigenous athletes from East Coast to West Coast, North and North-South. It's pretty awesome. So those are some doors that have definitely been opened. And even just before we hopped on today, Creason, which is really cool, I was chatting with a guy who's kind of like an agent, and he asked me about some of our athletes, and they're interested down in the States. The NCAA is starting to express a little bit of potential interest in our athletes and kind of what our program has going on.
That's so great to hear. And also, let's talk about, really quickly here, the experts that you bring on board here. Talk about their expertise and what are their backgrounds in volleyball.
Well, so far we've been kind of keeping it to mostly just people in my network. That, you know, my brother, some friends that have went to play college or university, went to play overseas, and have also coached youth in other areas. We've been collaborating with former Olympians. We haven't had a chance for them to come out yet, but they're definitely very interested in helping us. Guys that played with the men's national team and things like that. And I don't know, it just keeps growing and growing, Creason. Like, we meet new people like yourself every day that are just hearing about us, and we just keep going.
Last question, Joel. Where can Indigenous youth ages 10 to 21 sign up and find out more information?
Yeah, so we're on all social medias. We do most of our activity on Facebook and Instagram, which I'm also learning is not a lot of the youth use those platforms anymore, so I guess we're aging out a little bit. But we're also on Snapchat and TikTok. You can go to the nativedreamteam.com. And we're also actively seeking out you know, sponsors and stuff to kind of help us get to Europe. So you can find us at info@thenDTproject.com. You can email us there, and my contact information is also on our website.
That's Joel Auger in Edmonton, the founder and CEO of the Native Dream Team Project. Joel, thank you so much for speaking with us.
Thank you.
And that's your daytime newscast for this Tuesday, January 28th. Dennis Ward is back for your evening newscast in a few hours. Make sure to join us then. From all of us at APTN National News, hai hai miigwech masicho kwana. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again next day.